Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to another episode of Wellness Wednesday on the Lotus Lounge podcast. I'm your host, Uma Alexandra Beepat, and tonight we're exploring a topic that affects every single one of us, the inner critic. It's that quiet voice inside that whispers, "You're not enough. You should be farther along. And who do you think you are?" It's a voice we rarely talk about, but it shapes everything: our confidence, our decisions, our relationships, and our sense of worth. Tonight, it's all about understanding that voice, challenging it, and beginning the process of rewriting the relationships we have with ourselves. My guest tonight is the incredible Sara McGuire Margalus, speaker, consultant, and founder of Sara McGuire Consulting. Sara helps individuals and organizations unlock their potential through intentional goal setting and personal growth strategies. She creates spaces where people feel seen, supported, and empowered. And she brings a depth of warmth, insight, and lived wisdom to conversations around self-worth and personal development. Her forthcoming book includes a chapter called Silencing the Inner Critic, and that is what we are diving into tonight. Sara, welcome to Wellness Wednesday. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you, Uma. Thanks for having me.
And this is your second time back, correct?
It is. I'm so excited to be back. Thank you.
We love her so much we have her back again. So if you guys don't know, which at this point you should know, that Sunday, December 21st is an important day because we have our Shape Her Summit that includes speakers, powerful speakers like myself and Sara. And we will talk a little bit more about that after our talk today. But first, Sara, let's start at the beginning. We all have that internal voice that doubts and criticizes us, but many people don't even realize it's happening. How do you define the inner critic, and where do you see it most often originate for people?
So, Uma, I think with the inner critic is when we have a thought process where we're like, I want to do this. So let's give the example of a podcast. You are running a podcast, you're very successful with it, you have great followers, right? Now I want to run a podcast, but I'm going to say to myself, I have no idea how to do that. Uma knows it, but I'm too insecure to ask her how to do that. And then she's going to think I'm copying her, or then she's going to think you're not good enough. And then she's going to think this, and we go into that cycle, and it's awful. And it's absolutely untrue. We put that cycle in our head. We put that negativity in our head. And that's the inner critic right there. Can I run a podcast? Absolutely. Should I? Yes, I should, if I really want to do it. Right. However, people and other, sometimes even myself, I found myself in the past where I stop myself and I say, no, I can't do this. And then I give up that dream. So that's not good.
That's uncanny, because even though people on the outside see me as successful, I absolutely do not see myself as successful. It's like, because I don't have it all together. And I thought it was so beautiful that you said I have a successful podcast, because in my head, I'm like, absolutely not. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm struggling every week. I just hired a personal assistant, right? Because I'm like, I can't figure this out. I make mistakes all the time. Like in my head already, when we started, I had my little, room heater on that makes noise. And I'm like, oh man, I forgot to take that off. And like last week with Jenny, when we came on the screen, it was supposed to be just me, but it was me and Jenny. So isn't that funny? Like, other people view us as being successful, and it's like, we don't see that for ourselves.
Absolutely. Yep. It happens all the time. And it's that inner critic that is like, it wants to stop you, and it wants to stop you from saying you're confident or you are successful. And from the outside, my perspective of your podcast is successful. right? It is. And you have amazing guests on. Jenny is one of them who I know did it. She absolutely was great on your podcast, and it's just one of those things. We have to get out of that cycle. It's a negative thought process, and if we can stop the inner critic with the negative thoughts and do the inner critic with the positive thoughts, that's a game changer.
So it's kind of like we move from the inner critic to the inner cheerleader.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. We have to say, okay, like for me, I am going to do a podcast in 26. That's one of my goals. I have a meeting on Friday with somebody who just finished his podcast after many, many years, right? And it was a fun podcast, and it's very specific subject, and it was fun. And I was sad that he was stopping it, but for him, like his time came, and now he's moving on to other things. So I kind of swallowed my pride a little bit and said, hey, I am going to do this in 2026. It's a goal of mine. How do I do it? And that's what the conversation is going to be on Friday. And it's going to be a very vulnerable conversation. And I have to go into it with positive thought process and positive vibes saying, I can do this. I'm not going to get scared away by all the work that goes into it. So, yeah.
Well, I'm absolutely honored to help you with your podcast project and give you all the tips that I know of. I will tell you that having guests on your podcast is so easy. It's so enjoyable. It's such a great thing to do because it's like I do a show on Monday that's just me. And it's a 1-hour show, and it's so much work to just have it be just me. And then with my guests, it's like it's work too, but it's a different kind of work, and it's more fun because you have somebody to actually have a conversation with. And on my back end, I see that my podcast shows with my guests trend more. The people that are tuning into my Monday podcast, they really want to know about what's the energy of the week, what's my horoscope for the week, what's my tarot reading for the week, what's some positive news, Uma, because I do like a little positive news segment, and what's our topic for the week. But it's not because they really want to hear Uma talk for 60 minutes. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So, yeah, I love it though. I think that's great.
You talk a lot about the quiet battles, the internal struggles that no one sees. What do you think are some of the most common inner stories or patterns that you see people holding back from their potential?
Oh, okay. So one big one is, what are other people going to think of me? So you start an Instagram and, like you have your personal Instagram, but then you start your business Instagram or something about like weight loss or like for me, I have Sara McGuire Consulting on my Instagram. And it's basically going through what the book is, setting goals for yourself and starting on your birthday, taking New Year's out of it and really going year to year on your birthday.
Yeah.
And for me, even I'm writing a book. I mean, it'll be published in about, summer of 26. And even for me, some of the things that I want to put on there, I'm afraid of what people will think because, one of them is, and what we'll be talking about on December 21st, relationships. And that means relationships with anybody, meaning, romantic relationships, friendships, work relationships, anything. Family's a big one. And I have been holding off on posting about a family dynamic that's personal to me, where sometimes you have to be the villain in someone's story. And I think we've discussed this before. But then if I post that, what are people going to think of me? Right. And that's what stops people really pushing their potential because they're afraid of what other people think. But what they should be thinking, and everybody should be thinking, is how can I help other people by being vulnerable and talking about this? And I think that's something where if it helps you to talk about it or write about it or blog or however you want to do it, journal personally to yourself. But when you want to go public with something like that, and how comments are,
Yeah.
The internet is not nice. So, yeah. And I think it's one of those things. And sometimes people understand, like they get this feeling that they can talk to strangers and relate and resonate with strangers more than they can the people that are closer to them, such as family, friends, and whatnot. And we have to remember that's not your insecurity, that's everybody else's insecurity. Is if they're going to judge you because you're trying to be an influencer on Instagram or you're starting a company or anything like that. It's something, that's the big push of some people will not use their potential. Like will not push, like they have a gift. Uma, you have a gift to talk to people and help people and heal. You're doing something good for other people. And some people would be very scared off to do that because they think, oh, well, if I'm spiritual, then, I'm going to be judged. Or if I do this, I'm going to be judged. So it's hard. It's a hard thing to get through.
Think what plays into that is the fact that people do enjoy seeing other people fail.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's one of those things where, because I'll give myself as an example. I'm putting myself out there. I'm writing there's actually like a quote, and I can't remember who said it, but if you want to get something off your chest, put it in a book, because those people probably won't be reading your book, so.
Unless I hate you that much. Right. I've actually had haters buy my book and come on my streams and mockingly read my book to people. Yeah. And I'm laughing. I'm like, well, you bought the book. So
right. Right.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the thing is, you step out of a comfort zone, right? And that's another really big thing I like to push is like, if you stay in a comfort zone, you're never going to grow. You're never going to evolve. You're never going to get to the point where your potential is actually there, right? And you set forth with that. So one of the things is, like there's people that do not want to see you succeed, and they can be very close to you because they themselves will not jump out of their comfort zone, but you did. So it's their insecurity, but it's also their fear of failure. So they want you to fail as well. Cause then if you move up in the world, yes. If you, Uma, your podcast goes viral and get millions of followers every week, there's going to be people out there that are, not happy for you.
Oh yeah, I've already had that. Like I've already had that happen, and I just find it strange because I think sometimes, one thing I was told by a mentor a long time ago is she said the people who have the most to say to you are usually doing the least.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I said, oh, I never thought about that. And then I had to put myself in that situation, because when there's people below me, and when I say below me, I mean like people who are now starting their businesses, now starting their podcasts, now writing their book. I've done all these things already. I don't judge them or look at them and say, oh, you're doing this wrong or whatever. I'm just kind of like, good for you. Yeah, get it. Because I remember what that was like. But she said, the people who have something to say to you are people who haven't done it or are not at that level,
Or will never do it either.
And will never do it. They just like talking about it. I have a question. Is there one pattern you see more in women than men, or is this just generally across the board how, we feel about these things?
I see it more in women. Honestly, I think we self-doubt ourselves a lot more. I actually just saw something on Instagram today, and it was, it's the end of the year, and some group had a cake, and each person in the group had to put a little flag and say what they accomplished, like what they were so proud of. One of them was they just won their first lawsuit, meaning they're a lawyer, and they won their first case. Another one was they just bought their first home. Another one was they ran a half marathon. So it was all across the board, but it was absolutely celebrating things that normally you don't say it, or you might do a quick little Facebook, Instagram post on it, but we don't celebrate our wins as women. And that's something that I think needs to absolutely change is, hey, I made it. It's Wednesday. Actually, I woke up this morning. I was like, did I miss Umer's podcast? Because I thought today was Thursday,
Right. The days are just blending.
Yeah. So, I mean, like big wins, little wins, every win, like we should be celebrating, there should always be a reason to be happy. That for some people, just making it through the day that's a big deal, right? Other people finishing a 5K, that's a big deal. Anything, or somebody just picked up weights and now all of a sudden they feel stronger. Those are wins. But women tend to just be like, well, nobody cares and it's okay. And it's not okay. No, it's absolutely not. We need to celebrate accomplishments. And that's the inner critic as well, is we're like, nobody cares. Well, people do care, and people will be happy for you. If you post it, if you call them up and say, hey, like, I had a really good day today and I don't know why, but I'm in a really good mood. Like, that's a win, you know?
That is a win. And I have to say to any of my community that's listening, I really appreciate you guys, because whenever I post my wins or even my cute little selfies or whatever I'm doing, I have so many people that respond. I have people that respond in a negative way, but I have way more people that respond in a positive way. Like, yeah, Uma, go Uma. That's amazing. And I love that. I was like, because I'm the same way. Anytime I see any of my friends online doing good, I'm always writing something positive. So I have a little game for us. Let's celebrate a win. It could be something that was a win today, this week, this month, this whole year. And I'll start to give you, because I had some time to think about it while you were talking. So that way I'll give you some time. I want to celebrate my win, guys, about my body. So I'm 47 and I have 50 pounds on my frame that don't belong here. And I have struggled with this 50 pounds for the past, I want to say 7 to 8 years, because as my body is changing, I have not been kind to my body. I've been trying to starve myself. I've been trying to work out excessively. I've been trying to punish my body. And then this year, I decided I'm just going to work with it. Because my energy is depleting more than it was when I was in my 20s. I'm allowing myself naps during the day. Because I'm in perimenopause, I now have insomnia at night where I'm up till 3, 4, 5 in the morning. I was actually up till 5 this morning, and I woke back up at 9, and I'm going since, on 4 hours of sleep. I don't feel it, but I'm okay with it, because I know when my body, when she's tired, she'll crash and she'll sleep, and that will be okay too. So my win for me this year is just paying attention to my body, buying bigger clothes because she feels comfortable in it, not trying to wear a certain size, and moving according to her, her schedule now, which is very erratic. And I know it's going to peter out in time. It's just right now, this is where I'm at. So that's my win. I'm celebrating with you guys. What about you? What's your win, Sarah?
I love that. That's a great win, Uma. I love that. Okay. I think my win is I finished my first draft for my book in August, which is, it was like a big celebration in my head for me.
Yeah.
And then I went right into marketing. So the way I'm working with the publisher, we go into marketing, and then I actually had to stop because I was doing way too much stuff and I was burnt out. And it was right around our conference at the end of September, and I was supposed to go into pre-sale like the next week. And I had to recognize, okay, I'm not ready for this, and I don't want to rush it. I'm not a salesperson, so I don't want to be fake, whatnot. So anyways, I pushed it a couple weeks, and I just started pre-sale on Monday of this week, and I've gotten really great support by people. And I'm like, okay, the timing was right, because before it wouldn't have worked. So I find it to be a win for me is I knew when to stop and say, I need to stop and breathe for a second and come in this and give 100% this way, versus trying to do it the first week of October where I was not ready and it wouldn't have felt right for me. So I find that a win of I stopped, I stopped something where I knew was better for me, and it was going to be better for my followers. It was going to be better for my readers, because they were going to get 100% of me versus the diminished. It was probably at 10% back in October. So
Yeah. That's amazing. That is a great win. And
Thank you.
as I'm listening to you talk, I'm realizing there's another aspect we got to talk about, which is self-sabotage, right? Because
Yes.
somebody else would have been in that position. And even though they know intuitively, I should not launch on this day, right? And they know it's not going to be good. Sometimes people do things they know is not going to work out well for them in a way
Mhm.
like they know, but they still do it anyways. Do you want to speak on that? Do you have any idea about like just your personal, like, I know you're not like a psychologist or a therapist, but from like your own personal observations, why do you think we self-sabotage, and how can someone move past that need to self-sabotage?
Yeah, I think self-sabotage is basically your fears coming in, and it's like you have this feeling that it's not going to work out. So, okay, well, I'll just do it anyways, and then I'm done with it. And the task is complete. You check the box, and that's that. And you're like, oh, well, I failed because I wasn't prepared, but I had to get it done, right?
Yeah.
To flip the script, you have to look at yourself and say, okay, like, what am I scared of? Like, why am I scared? If I fail, I fail. But if I fail, I want to have put 100, 200% into something and then say, okay, I'm kind of like you, Uma, where I truly believe in how karma works, the universe works, all of this. And the timing has to be correct, right? And you don't know that. You don't know it when you're in it, and you're not going to know it, right away either. But then in a year, you're going to look back and say, wow, okay, that all worked out for this reason because I didn't self-sabotage. Like
Yeah.
you have to get out of that negative talk in your head. That's that's going to hurt you more than anybody else saying anything to you.
I think that people who make excuses, it's like they're coddling their self-sabotage, and you
Mhm.
and I both are personal development transformational coaches where we work with people in rewriting their script, rewriting their narratives, working against the self-sabotage. I have a story to share, and I was going to ask if you have a story to share about a client that you've worked with where you could just see them sticking to the self-sabotage, the stories. It's a lot of work. And that's why, because sometimes people ask me, why do I need a life coach? Why do I need because I'm a soul alignment coach, right? Getting you back on track with your purpose. Why do I need that? Right. And I say, you would not believe how many ways people stop themselves. Right. So do you have a
Mhm.
story for us about a client that would properly explain what we're talking about to the listeners about self-sabotage and rewriting narratives?
Yeah. So I always, with all my clients, I'm always, one of the questions I always say is, if your friend came to you and asked for your advice, what would you say? And I'd give
Mm,
them a scenario that is their own scenario. It's just in a different way. And they would say, okay, they should probably do this, this, this. Like, cool, awesome, right? Well, that's the
yeah.
same scenario that you've asked me about. And it might
Right.
have been a couple weeks ago. So you will easily help your friend out because that person is important to you or whoever it is, right? Um, but you're not taking your own advice. So when we ask for advice, so Uma, if I come to you and I say, hey, I don't know if I have the voice for a podcast. I don't know if I have the personality. I don't know about this. I don't know about that. I'm already doubting myself. And I'm kind of wanting you to be like, well, it is a lot of work and maybe you shouldn't do it. Like that's why people ask for advice, because they want the justification of
Someone
somebody else
else.
saying, it's okay, you don't have to do it, right? Where
Yeah.
we should reverse that and say, if a friend came to me and asked about this, what advice would I give? And knowing my personality, I would be like, go for it. Like, you don't need to know how you're doing it. You can fly the plane while you're building it. It doesn't matter. And go for it. Now, I just gave that person that advice. Why can't I do it to me? Right. So
Mm.
that's how I work it with clients is, hey, you guys, you you would give the great advice to your friend, but you wouldn't do it for yourself. Just take the advice you'd give to a friend, and that's it. And there's your answer.
I love that. And my answer to you about starting the podcast, just do it for yourself. I
Yeah.
have to be honest and tell you guys that I did everything I wanted to do for myself. I wanted to be the CEO of a company. I did that. It doesn't
Yes.
matter that it's not a Fortune 500 company, or I don't make $1 million a year, or I have 2,000 people working for me. That doesn't matter. I wanted to be a CEO of my own company and work on my own time. Did that. I wanted to write a book, wrote it. I wrote wrote four actually. I wanted to have a podcast, did it, you know? So I don't really worry about the logistics of it. I just do it for fun. And in the fun, it's really coming down to consistency, because over the years you get used to the voice, the look, the aesthetics, what you need to do, you know, for it to actually like trend and have viewers and listeners and whatnot. But when you're starting out, don't care if it's perfect. Just do it because you just want to do it, you know? And I
Yep.
actually had to have this hard conversation with a client because she wants to do what we're doing. She wants to coach and teach and have clients and, you know, have a center like I have, but she's been in development like for years. She spent a ton of money on coaches and mentors, and now I'm coaching her. And she almost has this attitude of like, well, what could you do for me? Because I've, you know, and I had the because usually I'm not this hard with clients, but sometimes some of our clients, and maybe you can agree on this, they think they know everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, if you knew everything, you'd be where you're at, right?
Yeah.
So this kind of conversation, it's her self-sabotage. Her self-sabotage is she has a lot of excuses for everything. Well, you know, I have young kids and, you know, I work a lot and have this going on and stuff like that. And I just listened and I said, so you don't want it? Oh yeah, I want it. No, you don't want it because it's not a priority. If it was a priority, you wouldn't matter. You know how I know? Because I had 2 young kids under the age of 5. I was divorced, a single mom, and I worked 3 jobs. And I started all of this.
Yeah.
I didn't sleep. You know, I drank probably a bottle of wine like every night. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But it was a lot, you know. And I tell people all the time, what you do, your actions reflect your truth. And you can say you want this and you want to be a New York Times bestseller or on the cover of Vogue magazine or whoever, whatever people are saying. But if you're not putting in the work to do it, that you really don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Do you think people self-sabotage because the truth is they don't really want it? They're just thinking that's what they want.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I have a very quick example of that is I know somebody super intelligent, had studied abroad, knows 4 different languages. Like English is
Wow.
one, but then 4 different languages. And, you know, she's worried a little bit about money and all this stuff. And so I was like, okay, what's your superpower? Your superpower is 4 different languages, right? So
Right.
teach that. Like tutor students or just start school or start a webinar, you know, anything and teach it. And I was like, I don't have that. I can't speak fluent anything besides English. I know a little Spanish, I know a little French. That's it. And I would love to be in her position. And she just won't do it. And she's like, no, nobody will come and whatnot. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like, you love to do it and you're really great at it, but she won't do it. And I think it's just, you know, so in the meantime, she's looking for better jobs and she's doing this. And I'm like, put the energy of looking at the better jobs. This is a side hustle that you could do. And sometimes side hustle, it gets a negative thought process on it, but it's not. It's really good because usually a side hustle is something you really, really like to do or you're really, really good at. And again, it could be helping other people. And that's what you would be doing. So yeah, it's if it's not a priority for you, it never will be until you make it one. That's the reality of it.
And start where you are, because I think a lot of people that come in, like, because I coach a lot of people that want to become professional healers or professional psychics and mediums. And I tell them, like, they want to do this huge, they want to hire a marketing company and roll out with the website all ready to go and, you know, get booked for speaking platforms. And I say, stop all that nonsense. Just go and do the work.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And start where you are. When I first started my business, it was in the basement of my house. And the reason why I had to get, after 5 years of being in the basement of my house, I had to actually get a studio was because one night I went out to close the door for meditation and they had like a row of 20 cars on my street. And I had the realization, you better get a center or your neighbors are going to start complaining.
Yeah.
And then HOA is going to put you out. So that's why I did 2 things. I went and got a place, and then I also became the vice president of the HOA to ensure.
Good for you. Yes.
Didn't get put out to my Everyone
yeah,
knows.
control your destiny, right?
Yeah. Gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
it's this Sunday at the Shape Her Summit, you are talking about relationships,
Yep.
and your summit topic actually centers on relationships as and it starts with the relationship we have with ourselves.
Mhm.
So I want to make the bridge. How does silencing your inner critic change the way a person would show up in their relationships, in their work, in their everyday life? Will it show up in other things, or does it only show up for people?
It is going to show up in ways that you could never imagine. When you silence the inner critic, you're doing something for yourself, first of all. And your confidence is going to build, your self-esteem is going to build. You're going to walk into rooms where you're just you don't doubt yourself. You know your self-worth, basically. Now, how does that help relationships? You'll realize what relationships you need and maybe what relationships you don't need anymore. And it doesn't matter who it is. It could be your friend for 40 years. It could be your parents that aren't supporting you and you're just looking for validation your whole life. It could be a relationship. And that's the negative piece of it, right? If you once you show up for yourself, you realize what your self-worth is and what your value is, right? However, you're going to attract the positive people that really should be in your life, right? And your vibe is going to totally change. And once you figure out, like, okay, I'm going to stop silence the inner critic in a negative way and only hear the positive of what I am, what I can accomplish, what I can do, you're going to end up being surrounded by amazing people. And some of them have already been in your life and you'll overly realize it then, or you're going to realize, some just don't I don't know what's the word, don't deserve your attention anymore, you know?
Right.
So, yeah, it's gonna be an interesting
It's
topic. I'm
amazing.
excited about it. Yeah.
It really is. And if you want to share a little bit more about your topic at the summit, guys, we do invite you. This is a free online summit on Sunday, December 21st. Myself, Sara, and 4 other powerful speakers will be there. And Sara will be talking about relationships. If you want to give them a little snippet of what they can expect in your 30-minute talk.
Yeah. So with relationships, it again, this is not just romantic relationships with your spouse or your partner. This is anybody in your life. It could be a manager, it could be a colleague, it could be a friend, it could be somebody that your children, your kids are on the lacrosse team or a soccer team, and you have to deal with the other parents that their kids are on there. It's one of those things. It's you. I'm going to talk about how bringing positivity into relationships and understanding, whether it's worth your time or not, right? There are going to be relationships where you have to be in because that's just the way it is. You have to have a manager, you have to have a boss, right? But how do you make it more pleasant for you if that relationship isn't good? So, and again, family, friends, colleagues, anybody in your life, relationships are dynamic no matter what. And it's you get to decide who you bring into your world, into your little circle. So it will be
I
interesting.
I love that you get to decide who you bring in. Sara, this was such a powerful conversation. I feel like you've given us permission to notice that inner voice, to question it, and to really stop letting it narrate our lives. The relationship we have with ourselves truly sets the tone for everything: our confidence, our relationships, our ability to grow and receive. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective with us tonight. Before we
Thank you, Uma.
close, yeah, it's always a pleasure having you. But before we close, can you share with our viewers how they can connect with you, learn more about your work, like what work do you do specifically if they want to work with you, and how they can stay updated on your book launch? I know you're going to submit to me your social media links and stuff for me to put in the
Yep.
comments. Yeah, but
Yep.
how can they, if they're listening and they want to know?
Sure. Yeah. So you can always email me at Sara McGuire Consulting at gmail.com. And then I have my Instagram, which is, you can look it up. Sara McGuire Consulting is my tag. LinkedIn is Sara McGuire Consulting as well. And so those are 3 ones. What's that?
That's good branding.
It's easy. It's easy, right? But yeah, Sara McGuire Consulting at gmail.com. Very easy to send me a message. You want to talk about the book. The book is called Never Live the Same Year Twice. It is ditching New Year's resolutions, using your birthday or a significant day for you to start your goals for the year, for your year. So August is mine. I start new goals in August, and I just turned 48, and I am working on what I want to accomplish in year 48, what I didn't accomplish all the years prior, and why I didn't. And it's a evaluation of yourself and not on societal norms and calendars of we have to do this on January 1st. Because a friend just put this up and said, January 1st is the worst day to start New Year's resolution because you have all the food in your fridge from from Christmas and New Year's. And what are you going to throw that out? Yeah. So, so she's all about having the birthday reset or significant day in your life reset as your new year. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. The pre-sale is on right now. And if you have any questions, you can always email me and I can send you the link to that as well.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Sara, for joining us. And
Thank
guys,
you.
if you want to see Sara again, she's going to be at our Shape Her Summit on Sunday, December 21st. We will drop the link in the bio to this and in the comments as well. I want to thank all of you guys for showing up here with us today. We truly appreciate you guys liking the videos and leaving comments, and just, whether you're watching live or watching the replay, we just really appreciate your support. As you move through the rest of your week, remember this: you are not the voice of your inner critic. You are the one who gets to rewrite the story. You are capable, worthy, and powerful, far beyond what that voice wants you to believe. You can watch all Wellness Wednesday replays on my YouTube channel, The Lotus and the Light. And if you'd like any deeper support on your spiritual path, please consider joining the Lotus Circle. It's my little subscriber community for alignment, awakening, and everyday spirituality. You can also book me for a free clarity call to see how we can work together in the future. May peace, love, and light guide your path today and every day. Namaste. Bye, guys.